Hi, my name is Linda Larson Schlitz. I'm from Wausau, Wisconsin, and I have been known in this neck of the woods as a paradigm pioneer, unafraid to challenge the status quo. I called myself in the book that I wrote recently a ditzy blonde faucet. You'll have to read the book to understand all of that, but I prefer to be known as a faucet of hope. I'll explain the faucet part in a little bit, but if you are an employer who wants to have a workplace that thrives and a business that's profiting and employees that are productive and empowered, then you need to keep listening to this. If you're an educator who wants a school where the students are getting great grades and the teachers are all excited and wanting to do something different to engage those students, you need to keep listening. If you're a government leader who wants your country and your community to band together to make a difference and to solve the social problems that we have, to not have to go borrow billions and billions of dollars to save our own people, you need to keep listening. If you're involved with law enforcement or any other kind of social service program, and you want people who are not going to keep coming back again and again and again, going through the doors of the jail and the hospital and the mental health units and the social service programs because they don't know how to hold and keep a job, then you need to keep listening. If you're a person who just has wanted to give up, who's been one of those people who have lost your job, failed in school, been in and out of the healthcare center, the mental health unit, the hospital, the jail, the prison, the homeless shelter, then you need to keep listening. Because I have 5 principles, and I call it the paradigm of the faucet, that is going to change your life. It's going to change the life of the people that you have contact with. It is going to change the lives of everybody, literally in the world. It could, if we pay it forward. And if we do what we are meant to do, which is to be the faucet we were created to be. Now, what does that mean? Well, look at it this way. We all have special, different, unique gifts, talents, abilities, timelines, people we come in contact with. Every one of us has an opportunity every single day to make a difference to the people that we have contact with. And then those people are affected by our influence. And then it goes on and on. The difference that we all have is so crucially important to understand. Because if you don't understand how valuable every single human being is on this earth, then you've missed the point of why things are failing. Things are failing because we aren't in our own area of giftedness. We aren't in that thing that we were born to do. And probably thousands, millions of you that are listening to this, or hopefully someday will be listening to this, you're one of those people that have been sitting in your life forever waiting for, I wish I could, I wish I could, I wish I could. You can. Do you need help to get to where it is you want to be and to do what you want to do? Yes, because none of us are created to do it all alone, which is why we have to completely rethink the way that we are operating everything in our world. There wouldn't be fights and arguments and wars and all of those things if we all really understood what we're here for on this earth. It's to help each other. It's not to hurt each other. It's not to punish one another. It's not to flunk people. It's not to make them a failure because they haven't fit into some box. I didn't fit into any boxes either. Why I didn't do well in school? Because I couldn't memorize the way other people did. But I could write better than most people. But that wasn't part of how you did math. I mean, how do you do math? Well, there's ways around things. Fortunately, I had a professor in college that did not believe in giving anyone less than a B. And what he did was he worked with you and he worked with you and he worked with you and he worked with you until you got down the basic things you needed to do for what you were going to do in your life. So we've got to rethink things, folks. And we've got to look at things different. Why do we have people that are overtaking our entire industries living in other countries like India and Egypt? Why? Because they are so far ahead of us in understanding what's important, what's needed, education, the internet. We've got to get a clue. We've got to get a clue. And we've got to quit trying to do things the old-fashioned way, because it's not working. It's not working. When I grew up, I was in a one-room schoolhouse, like Little House on the Prairie. There were 6 grades. There were 20 of us. There were three Linda Larsons in our little Norwegian community, in our little Norwegian school. Mr. Hansen was our teacher. He taught my dad 33 years previous to me in another little one-room school. And the Hansons and the Olsons and the Thompsons and the Johnsons all went to this school, and all 6 grades worked together. Some people taught other people to do tumbling. I was one of those. I was good at tumbling and doing somersaults and all those kinds of things. So I would teach people that. Even when I was in 1st and 2nd grade, I was teaching people in 6th grade how to do tumbling. But I didn't know things that they knew. So it was that kind of a school where we taught one another what we needed to know, and we used the gifts that we had. And Mr. Hansen was just very gifted at being able to do that. What I learned growing up in my little hometown of York, which had 32 people, 31 now that I'm gone. No, actually things have changed a lot. When I grew up, there was a blacksmith shop. I'm 59 as of yesterday, and there was a blacksmith shop in my little hometown. And a little bar and grocery that my aunt owned. She was my godmother, and her and my Uncle Tom ran that. I had my first job when I was old enough to take eggs out of the big carton and put them in the dozen carton. And then I got to mark cans, and then eventually I got to actually run a cash register. I learned how to do customer service at a very young age. And I learned from my parents that everybody's important, everybody's valuable. And that Marvy Webster, who was what they called in those days retarded, was more gifted than most of us. He, to this day, could tell you any kind of weather front that came through, any tornado that ever happened, where it was, how many miles an hour, and how much damage was done. He could tell you every album, though he couldn't read. Marvy was valued in our community. But then, as time went on, and I went to the high school and a bigger school in Whitehall, which was great. I found a different mindset there, and I didn't understand it. I didn't understand how people could be making fun of little Jimmy Winju. Because Jimmy was like Marvy, but they made fun of him. And that really, really bothered me. And so, way back then, Jimmy Winju and Amy Larson, who would stand down by the soda machine, pop machine, we called them back in those days. Hey, you got a quarter? She was so sweet, and we loved Amy, and she was trying to get a quarter, because that's how much soda was back in those days. And I advocated for Amy and all those other people, and if anybody made fun of those folks, it would not fare well. It was a different world. It was a different world back then. And now there's so many expectations of how people should fit into somebody else's box and do something different that it's just become a very hateful world. Anger is always a secondary emotion. And Our thinking causes our feelings, and our feelings cause our behavior. So if there are people that are behaving poorly, acting rudely, it's because they're feeling bad about something, because they're thinking bad about something. And that's how they've learned to cope. We all do it. We learn how to cope with our feelings by doing stuff. Eating, drinking, not eating, drinking too much, doing drugs, gambling, sex. We do all kinds of things. Workaholism. We do all kinds of things to try to cover up our bad feelings. So what I've learned over the years is that there's a lot of miserable people in the world because they're not doing what they were made to do, and they're miserable. So my goal is to help everybody that I can possibly make contact with, and I need you to help me, whoever you are listening to this. I need you to help me pass the word that everyone's a faucet. And a faucet brings water to those that are thirsty. And there's a world dying of thirst out there. And everyone is needed because everyone has a different role, has a different gift, has different time, different ability, different people in their lives that they can influence that will make a difference to the next person and the next. Somebody influenced all of the presidents in the world. Somebody influenced all of the people who created all of the things that are created. You're watching me on YouTube or someplace. Who does that stuff? Who figures this stuff out? Not me. I try, and that's my mistake. Chalene Johnson, absolutely incredible, inspirational person, convinced me of that last week. You can do it all. The reason you're up at 3 o'clock in the morning is because you have too much pride to think that it's all your deal. She didn't really say that about the pride, but for me, that's what it's about. It's about me thinking nobody can do it as good as I can, or I've tried to delegate and people haven't followed through. I'm going to do things differently, and this is going to pan out, and I am going to be able to support myself and my family on the income I'm going to make in this business because it's what I'm supposed to be doing. And whatever it is you're supposed to be doing, and all those people that you have contact with, your students, your employees, your family, your friends, your students, your coworkers, your prisoners, your probationers, all of the people in your world have a purpose. And it's our job to help them figure out what their purpose is. And not to shove them into some other purpose or somebody else's deal. But to look until we find the people that are supposed to be helping us fulfill our purpose. So that's why I'm excited, because everybody listening to this is part of my plan. It's part of my deal to pass on the legacy that I've been given and the success and the blessings that I've been given to move to the next level. So today, let this be the first day of the rest of your life that you're going to do what you need to do as a faucet. Thanks for listening.